turned up.
Little 20-minute holler.
Shoot. There we go. All right. I think we... No, we're good. We're good. I got it on here. I turned it off.
Oh.
Although...
That probably helped.
What's up, Cavs fans? Spencer German, Spencer Davies here with you at Rocket Arena, where the Cavs fall to the Jazz tonight by a final score 123-112. And I don't know if we would call it the worst loss of the season, but it's up there. And actually, I think there was a comment made in the media room. I was Chris Fedor of Cleveland.com who said, yeah, we have like 10 different games that we can debate as being the worst loss of the season after tonight. So I think that's probably a good way to put it. And I think like, to start this conversation, I think the most disappointing thing to come out of tonight is just like we had talked the other night on Saturday about how it felt like they were finally sort of turning that corner, right? Like they had won 5 of 7. That game on Saturday was one of their better games of the season. And it was just like, can you do this consistently? We used that word so much in that episode, and they come out tonight and they just look flat. First quarter, they're down like 19-4 at one point. Like it was bad. It was just bad. It was a bad start, and it kind of just that they carried over into the rest of the game. They couldn't dig themselves out of the early hole, and it cost them. And those are the things that I think this team is still trying to sort of figure out. And it's it's mind numbing. I get it's frustrating for fans, but it is like the truth of the situation right now is like every time it feels like they're just about there. They're just about to turn that corner. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or vice versa. And I think that's kind of how I sum up what this loss kind of feels like tonight.
Yeah, 1 step forward, two steps back. So had a little bit different there, but no,
I said the opposite on purpose. I felt like they'd been doing more
of
things.
This. Okay,
that's why I said.
Yeah, no.
Anyway,
I do happen to agree with that. But to be honest, like you said, coming out flat against a team that lost by 50 in their last game, they were going to be desperate. They didn't have Lauri Markkanen and Jusuf Nurkic in that game, but still, it's a team that that you're better than. That there's an opportunity at home to get yourself a couple wins in a row, especially after the showing you had against Minnesota the other night, scoring 146 on that squad. You're capable. You came out hungry in that first quarter, responded again. But how many times are we going to have to see responded to bad performance, right? Yeah. You're going to have to string together good performances at some point. And a lot of the guys blamed it a little bit on the shot making. I can understand that, but we have to look at the whole sample size as far as their 3-point defense being at the bottom of the league, the very bottom of the league. Jazz ended up shooting 45% from beyond the arc today. So that's a big difference. I think that also when you have other guys that haven't been on the same page, it doesn't help, but at the same time, you have to do a little bit of a better job. Are we good? Yeah, just had to.
I was just adjusting.
Had to adjust the. I know. Say I'm holding the mic now.
I was trying to do it without bringing it up, but it's okay.
It's all good. No, I had to pay attention to it. But seriously, like, there are flaws. There are flaws within this team. Again, I told you, I'm going down with the ship. I still believe in them, but at some point, you're going to have to be able to string together consecutive wins. It's not about some winning streak that makes everybody feel good because it's mid-January and that's going to be the best they play all year. You want to be peaking at your best post All-Star break. That is the bottom line. But you're not seeing the signs of a team that can be consistent. And the best conversation I think I had tonight was with Mike Lucas up there, who used to play. He's got a very good basketball mind. We've had a ton of conversations this year because we sit next to each other in the media room.
Yeah.
But it's why can't this particular team put the opponent away? And it's because you look at what happened Okay, they're down 21-4. Cavs come storming back. All right, they've woken up. They're good. End the half with Darius Garland making this buzzer beater. It's 62-54. Start the third quarter out. You're up 11. All right, here they are. They're back again. And yet, they can't put the foot on the throat. And last year, especially in the first half of the season, they did that all the time.
Yeah.
All they had was white flag games from the other side. So it's really perplexing why this team isn't understanding that part of it, why they can't take hold. Because I am with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell came out flat out, and I was actually surprised because I thought he'd be a little bit more angry. But he's like, look, I want to highlight the Jazz. They played a really good game. Markkanen's a talent. Keontae George should be an all-star. They have a lot of good players on that team, and they outplayed us, and we weren't ready for it. Like, I was surprised that Donovan wasn't more, didn't it seem like he wasn't that angry? Like, it was weird.
It's interesting because he did say that to open his quote, but he also sort of paused. Like, there was a long pause there.
It was a little shorter.
And so he was kind of like thinking about what he wanted to say. Yeah. And so that made me think he was probably more mad internally than what he wanted to show. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't want to come off like really, really angry and like calling guys out. So he kind of took a deep breath and was like, how do I want to say this? And then he was like, well, honestly, I think we should give credit to the Jazz. And I was kind of like, that's not what he really wanted to say. You know what I mean? Like that, it felt like that wasn't what he really wanted to say. But I do think the frustrations are growing certainly for him as much as they're growing for people on the outside of the organization watching this team, whatever. And that's fair. You bring up like at some point they have to do it. I think that's the key thing that comes to mind now is like, when is that point? Because we talked the other day, like if this all leads to the opposite of what the Cavs have normally done, which is great start to the season, and then at the end of the season they kind of sputter. If it's the opposite of that and you had a bad start to the season, and but it leads to you have a really strong finish, then like, the sky's the limit for this team. Absolutely. But the question becomes like, how long everyone throws around like the regular season doesn't matter. How long is that true until it's like, okay, now it's bad habits. And now it's, and I don't know if it was you, somebody asked Kenny about that. Like the idea that like, it was actually Mike Lucas. Since we were just talking about him, he said like, are you at a point in the season where like now you're more concerned that it's becoming like a problem for your team or it's like a bad habit for your team? And he said no. He said like, these things we can fix, it's okay. But like you are a product of your practice habits, you're a product of your game habits. And when you're halfway through the season and this is where you're at, like I don't know if this team has a win streak in them at this point. Like they're gonna have to prove it to us. And that's kind of the key thing here. I mean this one was certainly frustrating for all those reasons. And we talk about like timelines and when it has to happen. Donovan was he co-signed the quote that, if we're having these same issues in mid-January, then come talk to me. Guess what? It's January 12th.
Yeah.
So by the time we're done with the show, maybe January 13th. So like he does, like we're there and we're still having the same conversations.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I think what's most disconcerting to me is that we know that they can do it.
Yeah.
The problem for me is that they have to have the perfect set and perfect situation in order to do it. And I know this changes the other night because they didn't have Dean Wade against the Wolves, but the thing is, like, they're so dependent on Dean Wade. They're so dependent on Sam Merrill to be healthy. And I understand that team is the sum of its parts. I get that. But for those two in particular, it's like they're over-reliant on their role players, which is really odd because you think that you would have a team that would struggle, say, if Donovan Mitchell's out or if Darius Garland is out or something like that. But it's like these guys like Sam and Dean, when Jalen Tyson was out for that 4-game stretch earlier in the year and they struggled, they are dependent on them. So really what it comes down to, and Jarrett said this too, because Naquan Tomlin was by far the most energetic guy on the floor tonight.
Yeah, he deserves to be highlighted for sure.
For sure. And we'll get to those specifics, but if 6 through 15 can do it, then why can't 1 through 5?
Yeah.
And the reason that they've had their issues is for the majority of the year has been the starting group, which is really, really odd because we know how good they are. The numbers say they're good. The core four together has been fantastic. They just don't have that glue guy right now, maybe? Is that what it is? I can't figure it out for the life of me, but I will stick to my guns. I'm going down with the ship. I've seen too much good. I've seen too much in these last 2.5 years with these guys.
You want to trust that they'll get there.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny you bring up the starting five because like Kenny even brought that up tonight.
Yeah.
He mentioned, the start of the game being what really set him back, and he's like, they came out with a lot of energy. We didn't, but he's like, but the problem is like that's our starting group. Like those guys gotta be like, this isn't like new hat for them. You know what I mean? Like it's they know what it takes, and they didn't come with that intensity early on in this game, and that's a problem. So like they're in an interesting stretch of the schedule. They go back to back against the 76ers this week, who are a better team than I think most people expected. So this is a little bit of a test.
Very fun.
These are two big games I think for them coming up this week.
Wednesday and Friday.
How do they respond to this game is going to be key. But yeah, like some of the same problems we're talking about are still there. DeAndre Hunter still continues to struggle. I thought there was a lot of good comments though said after the game about that. And, Kenny especially talking about like, we got to stick with it. It's like this is like what did he say? Something along the lines of like, this is an excessively long shooting slump for him. And at some point we believe he's going to snap out of it. He talked about like balancing, like putting him out there versus like trying to get him through it and supporting him while also knowing like at times he's going to have to take him out because he's just not helping the team. There was a lot of said about mental stuff tonight. And I think
it is all mental. That's
and I think like on one hand, it's like that's what's funny about when you hear them talk about the mental blocks is that's one of those things that like you hear that and you feel that's the reason we're holding out hope that they can figure it out because it's like if it just starts to click for DeAndre Hunter, if it starts to click for this starting unit, they're going to be okay. But at the same time, that mental part of it, the fact that you're having those conversations in January is also kind of concerning.
It is. No, I cannot go against that anymore. Like I completely agree with you as far as the mental battle, the DeAndre stuff. I can't explain. Like you saw him come in last year and he was a dynamo. It looked like, oh my gosh, This is the missing piece. This is the missing piece. He does well in the Heat series. And then he obviously gets hurt a little bit in the Pacers series with the thumb. He comes in, he's their best shooter over the offseason. They're raving over him. Kenny has this great conversation with him, gets to know him personally. Training camp goes outstanding. Preseason goes outstanding, as we saw. You explain it to me. It is absolutely.
He was 1 of 5 with 2 points today.
Yeah. Yeah. And just and just off on the passes, like some turnovers and just being slow. Like it's unexplainable to me, and it's just one of those things in sports where I will agree with Kenny that sports psychology is to blame for that because you've seen it. You have data. This guy was a top 6 man candidate last year along with Ty Jerome, and maybe that is part of it. Maybe because Ty's not here and he's not setting him up. Maybe that is part of it. But it's not like DeAndre Hunter doesn't know how to play basketball. Like it's a very odd situation with Dre in particular. But to your point, like they have their weaknesses. And I think Ethan Sands did a great job of highlighting these in the press conferences. It's like teams that are faster, run them out the gym, right? And what did Utah do tonight? Push the pace. Keontae George, big part of that. He is a fast dude. Isaiah Collier off the bench, very fast guy. Lauri Markkanen was like a freight train tonight, attacking off the dribble in transition, whatever it may be. Running the floor, just doing a great job. So these guys just I don't think it's all effort, but there's some effort.
Yeah.
I want to go into an actual film study and break this down, like have a whole day and just watch a bunch of film.
Watch them break film.
Right. So like, but clearly teams with pace hurt them. Rebounding definitely hurts.
Which is concerning because that's the thing that did them in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
it was the Pacers pushing the ball and they didn't have a response to it. And how many times did we hear like leading up to the season that like that series, everyone said that they learned a lot from that series and that they were going to be different because of that series and conditioning was going to be better because of that series. But the same problems persist. Like you're seeing in the regular season, teams have taken what the Pacers did and they're saying, we know how to beat this team.
Yeah. You can say it all you want to. And even if you look at in a smaller sample size this morning, Jalen Tyson said that they knew they had to be prepared for the Jazz because they would be desperate and angry after what happened. And you said the right things. You didn't do the right things. But you actually execute what you say. You may be the most well-meaning in your press conferences, in your media availabilities. But unless you execute it on the floor, then you're putting yourself in a position that's hard to defend. So you have the pace that we were just talking about. You have the rebounding aspect of this, which I'm not as concerned about as everybody else that wants to see this team play football. For example, they scored 146 the other night against the Wolves, but no one noticed that they got out-rebounded by the Wolves that night.
Yeah.
They noticed that they got out-rebounded tonight because they got out-rebounded by 20, which is understandable. But
they were actually winning. They weren't winning. I think they were like the rebounding battle with like 5 minutes to go. And that game was like 32-30. Like it was like really close. And then like there was like a bunch of garbage time rebounds.
Exactly. But the people are going to use it for their agenda.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is though, like, do I really care if Yusuf Nurkic gets 14 rebounds and doesn't impact the game? Like the only way he impacts the game is if you kick it out to the corner for threes and there's second chance points. Sure. But if he gets defensive rebounds, I'm not fronting over there. Like I don't care. I don't care if Yusuf Nurkic has big numbers and then the rebounding come. So rebounding was not the reason that the Cavs were off tonight. They just were not prepared. It's not excusable for a team that I got in an argument in the media room over this. That Jazz team is very talented. They are. They have been in some really tough games. They took the Thunder to overtime in OKC just before they got beat to shreds by 50 to the Hornets, who also are on a good path themselves. This is not a Kings type of team. This is not a Pelicans type of team. This is Wizards. Exactly. They are not in that ilk. But
this team almost did lose the Wizards too.
Granted, yes, exactly. They did. They almost did. Granted, still not excusable from the Cavs side, but there are flaws. There are flaws that they have to figure out and they have to fix. But I'm gonna repeat it over and over again. I'm going down with the ship.
Yeah. I'm going to let you talk about Naquan Tomlin. I actually wanted to talk real quick, though, about Darius Garland because, on a positive note, I think it was the second straight game where he really looked more like himself. He was doing the things that make him Darius Garland. He was distributing when he needed to. He had 8 assists in this game, but he drops 23 points, which ends up leading the team. And he hit some timely shots at key spots when they needed him to. He was like the one guy in the fourth quarter that seemed like he was really sort of trying to keep them in it and sort of bring them back and make this an interesting game at the end. So, yeah, like I think we know the toe injury has been bothering him. It might bother him all season. But you're seeing some of the, and Kenny alluded to it, like, I asked the question, why does it seem like every time you guys get something rolling, you win 5 of 7, whatever, you can't like turn that corner and like do it consistently and get a win streak going. And, he highlighted the injuries as one of the reasons why. He was like, we get guys back, we get Dean back, you can put him on marketing. Like, so these things all matter. And we've definitely highlighted the fact that that's part of the context of the situation.
You got to toe the line.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that that doesn't erase all the bad habits and things,
No.
but it is encouraging, I think, that Darius is starting to look at least a little bit more like himself and playing the style of basketball that we know Darius Garland can play.
100%. I mean, coming into this game over the last 4, he had 4 turnovers. Why did I say it like that? He had 4 turnovers. It's almost midnight. Today, he turns over the ball 3 times in the first quarter, doesn't turn it over the rest of the game, right? So he is really on his P's and Q's with taking care of the basketball. The thing that stood out to me the most in pregame was Kenny talking about his toe feeling better and the balance that he's getting back as far as the dribbling, the stop go, the left to right, the shiftiness, even on the jump shot. Balance matters a lot because if you're not on balance, then you're not going to have the same mechanics. You're not going to have the same kind of feel with your jump shot. When you're able to square and you're able to get that same shot type in the way that you're able to square up the way that you're used to, then you're going to start making them more, which Darius has begun to.
Yeah.
And Darius is, I think, in a much better place. He's not there all the way. There's still ways to go. There's going to be times where it's uncomfortable and he lands on it the wrong way and then he'll just grit through the pain. But I admire it because Darius is starting to turn the corner himself a little bit. That's good for the Cavs. Now you got to just have the rest of the pieces of the puzzle come through.
I'm going to let you have the floor here to highlight, I think, the other big positive from tonight, which was Naquan Tomlin. I mean, for him, it goes back to, I think, one of the big things Kenny Atkins has talked about this season and what we've seen him as he tries to execute different lineups and things. The guys that are giving you the effort, the guys that are, giving you what you need on the floor to contribute to winning, making those scrappy, dirty plays and coming up with the ball, or making timely shots, those are the guys he's going to play. And it was telling of how well of a game he was playing that he got to start the fourth quarter for this team because he was playing so well at that time and they needed him on both ends of the floor to sort of contribute. So I'll let you talk some more, but Naquan Tomlin was certainly one of those positives from tonight as well.
You will notice when Naquan Tomlin is on the floor, one way or another. You just watch him, the way he runs. It's almost like he's a chicken with his head cut off in a way, which is cool though, because you can see that kind of youthful exuberance, that excitement when you're on the floor and you don't care who you're guarding, whether it's an all-star or whether it's someone that's also, trying to make it into the league. He's going to guard him 100%. He is going to use his physicality. He is going to make sure that his long frame disrupts and he can run the floor with the best of them, even if no matter what. After misses, he's the first one sprinting down. If it's on the offensive end, then he's going to be slot cutting and he's going to be not afraid to take threes from the corner. I mean, this guy is just unafraid. He's unafraid, and he finds himself in a lot of these situations where he's on the baseline, gets the ball, and then dunks. Full floor, coast to coast, beautiful one tonight after he got a steal, really jacked the crowd up a lot. I admire the heck out of Naquan. He has played so well this year that I'm just waiting. It's a matter of time before he gets a standard contract, get it converted from that two-way, because he is a part of this rotation. They're playing 9 right now, and one of them is Naquan Tomlin, and that should tell you something. That should tell you something. And he's playing over Larry Nance Jr. and Thomas Bryant right now. Like, that is a big deal. So I think that they really believe in Naquan. I was surprised as heck to see that he didn't have many rebounds tonight. But what I will tell you though, the one play that impressed me the most that I did not see coming, he's out there on that left elbow right there, right? Or sorry, right elbow if you're looking from this way. And he catches the ball. I think it was from Evan Mobley. Evan passes it out of mid post to him. Naquan up fakes, puts it on the floor, drives straight into Kevin Love. Kevin's trying to take a charge. We know that Kev likes to do that. He's great with his positioning. He's a vet.
He's always been good with that.
Naquan fires a bullet right back to Evan, and Evan dunks it. Somehow does not get a charge on Kevin Love. Has the body control enough to make sure that he doesn't look out of control or use his body and jump pass. It was an advanced move. I was very impressed with that. Defensively, always just going to give you as all Kenny loves using him, in full court situations, picking up whoever's getting inbounded to, and then he'll sprint back. But just to have a body there. But his enthusiasm is out of this world, and I'm glad he's getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And the play you described, I was not at my seat for that, but you described it to me when I came back, and I think I saw the highlight later, and it was an impressive job by him. Kenny's going to play the guys who are giving those contributions, and Naquan is certainly playing himself into a bigger role when he's out there.
Naquan, JT, Craig Porter.
It is funny that it's the young guys too.
I will say this: Craig Porter Jr.'s had probably the toughest stretch that he's had this season so far. Bad matchup against Minnesota. Minnesota's just big. Jazz kind of big as well, but he'll bounce back. He's been one of their most consistent players all year. But what has been consistent is the energy and effort from CP, Jalen Tyson, and Naquan Tomlin. And even you throw Tyrese Proctor into that bucket, who I'm surprised hasn't gotten any kind of minutes here as of late. But it's a problem when your young guys are the ones showing consistency, because those are the ones, the inexperienced ones are the ones that should have to learn and should have to have their ebbs and flows. But the ones that are having their ebbs and flows are the vets. Yeah. And that's the story of the season right now. As you said earlier, I'm going to say it the other way: 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
We'll see if they can take a step forward on Wednesday when they face the Philadelphia 76ers. 2 straight games in Philly, and I do think these are pretty big ones because
better guard VJ Edgecombe. Tell you what, better guard VJ Edgecombe. You got Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes can light it up, Embiid's been playing better. Like he's actually looking pretty solid. We'll see if they play Paul George. I don't know what their whole situation is, but he did play the other night too. So, but yeah, that is a team that's believing too.
Maybe at least one of these games.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, I that 76ers team has been better than people I think anticipated. Every game at this point, I think the Cavs are being looked at in like a microscope. Like everyone is, they're being hyper analyzed by every little thing that they do. So all these games are going to matter. But like these ones, especially against teams that actually might be contending in the East, teams that you're going to see in the playoffs if you make the playoffs, which right now they're the 7th seed. So like those things all matter. And so yeah, we'll see kind of what this week has in store. But these I think are two pretty big ones in terms of matchup wise.
I will say this: the Jekyll and Hyde stuff going on that I see on the timeline is actually starting to make me laugh a little bit. And I'm not even trying to be like pretentious or facetious here, like. But just seeing like after the big win over the Wolves, we're back, and then you lose to the Jazz at home. It's like they're done. Like it's just like back and forth, back and forth.
Like I said,
what I tell you before the season started, if you watch every game and live and die with every game, you are gonna have.
I've said it before. You can't do that in the NBA.
You're gonna have a.
It's easy to do that in like the NFL. It's one game, 1 week. But like in basketball, you can't do that. Yeah. But this team has also given you a lot of reason to have those doubts, and I get getting excited when they look good. So
do you want to have a little bit of maybe a little bit of optimism if you look outside of this building? The Indiana Pacers beat the Celtics tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
The Indiana Pacers beat the Celtics tonight. Things don't make sense in January sometimes. Yeah. I don't know. It is mind-boggling to analyze and figure out because I don't know. And if I don't think they know. I don't think they know because they're asking about sports psychology and whatever mentality they're coming into. Like it's sometimes it's just the way the ball rolls. I don't know.
I'll say what I said on Saturday. If the outcome of this is they come out of this month and you're in February and they start rolling and then they're rolling into the playoffs, everyone's going to be excited and it'll be fine. But that has to be the outcome at this point. And it's going to, again, take them proving it for us to really know. We'll see what this week looks like for sure. These are two big games against the 76ers. They'll certainly be judged on how they perform. Just a reminder, head on over to CavsRoundtable.com. Read our written content over there. I know Tommy, our guy, he got a story up, his kind of observations or takeaways from the game. I'm working on a story about basically what we talked about today, the idea that, like, why can't this team turn the corner? There was some questions. I asked a couple of guys about that, obviously, after the game. So we'll get that up for you. We'll have some more stuff for you. And, of course, you can always head over where most of you are watching this right now to the Cavs Roundtable YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, hit that button.
All of them are actually up.
Yeah, all the videos are up. All the videos are up. It's nice when we're both here. We can kind of divide and conquer. So Kenny's there, Donovan's there, Jared's there, and you can see what they had to say post-game about what was, again, maybe not the worst loss, but up there, as at least a conversation about maybe being the worst loss of the season. Appreciate you guys coming to hang out with us, especially for this late one. We'll be back throughout the week. We'll have you covered post-game as well. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Don't go 19-41 in the paint next game.
Basketball tips with Spin. There you go. We will talk to you on Wednesday. Have a great night, and keep on following along with all things Cavaliers with Cavs Roundtable.